You know, we get tangled up, don't we? We get tangled up. A whole ball of entanglement as we move through life. Tangled up emotions, denied emotions, that which we couldn't face, you know, that which was inflicted upon us, that caused wounding or trauma or hurt or withdrawal or retraction or rage or anger, all of these things, any of them and all of them. And a whole bunch of belief systems, you know, that started to emerge during the course of childhood into adolescence and adulthood, and start to develop these beliefs. Largely where from? You know, well, many of them inherited, many of them, you know, created out of the self-referencing impact of the world, of our environment, our family, the society we're in. Creates a kind of an idea of ourselves. I'm this kind of person, I'm that kind of person, I'm not worthy, I am worthy, I'm fantastic, or, you know, I'm terrible, or I hate the world and the world is cruel, or I'm scared of everything, or, you know, an endless. Each one of us has our own unique version of the same footprint. And we get tangled up. It's you know, we lose a sense of our essence, completely gone. We lose a sense of our, you know, rootedness as innocence. You know, we're just filled with forgetting anything about the deeper nature of ourselves. Until maybe something happens, you know, and that happening can be anything. You know, it could be just a moment of nature. It could be, you know, the impact or an opening through grief. It could be a near-death experience. It could be you going to India. It could be, you know, just a moment of sitting, you know, that something happens. It could be a psychedelic experience. Nobody knows really if and when, you know, whether that comes, but it, you know, the opening gives a moment, you know, gives a sort of a flash, a doorway, a kind of chink in the armour, crack in the door. The crack in the door that reveals that there's a light behind everything, or there's a light behind something, or that there's just something more. You know, in many ways, that's the start of a different journey of our lives. It's sort of a life suddenly starts to go on a different trajectory, maybe, or maybe it takes some years for that seeing, that knowing, that, you know, could happen when we're young, could happen anytime, yeah, and it can come back later in life or something. You go, you know, there's something. and then a different journey starts. It's the nature of the movement through life. You know, it's not fixed. We're actually born to mature in some way, and to, you know, if you look into an archetypal journey, then, you know, to some extent we are engaged in an archetypal mythical journey. If you look into Joseph Conrad, you'll see, you know, what that really means. And we can choose to step more onto that door, onto that pathway, onto that into that mythical journey, you know, anytime we want, in a way. And that's very revealing about ourselves, because we see that the path is potentially a path of maturation as we move through from our 20s to our 30s to our 40s into our 50s. There is the potential for a path of maturation, but not necessarily. And what I'm getting to is, on that path of maturation, of movement of us through life, from experience to reflection to maturity to wisdom, potentially, is a certain untangling that needs to happen. And that's where things can get rather sticky. The untangling of everything that has become tangled up, the ball of string, the tight ball of string that we've become, has to somehow come undone. And it seems that each of us has our own unique journey of unraveling. You know, for some it can be, I guess, pretty easy. For most, it involves some recapitulation and some reconciliation of the past tangling upness, which means, you know, maybe psychologically or emotionally or therapeutically even, a revisiting, you know, of some of the more dramatic experiences that we went through when we were young, you know, that had such an impact. So that's the kind of value of therapy, really, the value of some body work, the value of recapitulation or reconciliation, or, you know, inevitably, in a way, the path of a kind of forgiveness. But this is different for each of us, which is why there's no one size fits all on the journey of transformation or spirituality or awakening. And we each have to, you know, that is the path of the archetypal journey, for us each to follow our own path wherever it may lead. And the divine, or a deeper intelligence, will lead us. It will lead us. But it means we have to kind of surrender some of the control that we've probably exerted upon our done-upness, our tangled upness over the past. So, you know, there it is again, you know, the need to surrender a bit more. Surrender is always a difficult word for the self, you know, because I was talking about this yesterday in a meeting. You know, we think, automatically when we talk about surrender, we think of an enemy and a white flag and a giving upness, but this is not that kind of surrender. But I've talked about this in other videos, so you can go and find them, or maybe I'll talk about it again. But to say, you know, that each of us has that tangled upness, and that's just the way that it is, you know. And so, you know, if a truer liberation, a truer experience is longed for, you know, then one has to really get down with it, you know, to get down with it and to commit ever deeply to untangle. And it's possible. And then life actually becomes simpler, more simple. There's a direct then connection between, you know, feeling and mind and action and spirit. But But when we're all tangled up, it's just a kind of mess of reactivity so often, or nervous system or subtle energy body kind of, feeding the mind, and the mind having this sort of almost its own set of rules, its own set of beliefs, Like, we're led around as the individuation that we are. We're led around by these unconscious beliefs. Get us into a lot of trouble, or get us into difficulty, or become very reactive, and then we're like, wow, what happened to me there? I lost myself. Well, yeah, you did lose yourself, because you're so tangled up that you haven't got any idea who you are. And if you haven't really got any idea who you are, and you're tangled up, then you're at the mercy of forces that are beyond your control, whether they're malicious forces of manipulation, or, outside you, who want to steal your money or steal your power or turn you into a cash cow or something. It has a very real life consequence. Our tangled upness makes us more likely to be slaves, more likely to be manipulated, whereas the more you disentangle yourself and start to come into a truer authority, inner authority, or silence, or stillness, or equanimity, however you call it, you sort of start to really see the games that are played on the level of society, on the level of the matrix. You start to see, and in that seeing, you're less likely to be as manipulated, by any politic, by left or right, or this or that, or, people who want to do anything. You sort of like just much more clear, much more simple, much more straightforward, much more clear seeing. The veils come down. The veils come down because we disentangle ourselves. It's not rocket science. It's just, it's just like falling through the many veils, the many layers of, the many clouds of disguise that we've come to believe that we are. And then, and then it actually becomes much more simple. So that's it. That's all.